Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome aboard JLR Investigates. Come on in, come on in. We have a lot to talk about this particular segment. We are talking about the case of 30-year-old Mica Miller. And we're talking about this guy next to her, Pastor John Paul Miller. Some people say, JLR, you shouldn't call him a pastor. Well, we'll just say he's a pastor, right? A lot of people don't think he's a pastor. But nevertheless, folks, this has been a terrible tragedy, and I have some new information. We've been taking a extensive deep dive into this guy right here, and we have uncovered a lot of new things. A neighbor of his reached out to me and was talking about just before Mica died, the fire department was called to his house because of some fires going on in his backyard, burning things. Yes. And then we're also going to talk about this guy's father, right? And the reason why we're going to talk a little bit about the church, right? Solid Rock Church, is because I think it's part of what happened here. I think it's definitely involved here, and I think the church is going to be implicated in civil litigation when it comes to her family taking civil action against Pastor John Paul Miller and the church. Now we're going to talk about the church because the pastor's father, it's like father like son, and it seems like they both have a lot of scandals and controversies. He's facing a whirlwind of problems, folks. He's most likely going to get indicted by the federal government at some point down the line. Him and maybe his lawyer, or maybe the church affiliates, someone, people, co-conspirators, co-defendants, a bunch of them will most likely be indicted down the line. But let's talk a little bit about the father, because there were some suspicious fires at his father's church back in 1980 and also 1999 in Florence, South Carolina. That's where his father is based. And we want to talk about that because it's interesting because, you know, they have a lot of money. They have a lot of money. The Miller family has a lot of money. His father has started multiple churches in the past, and his son has basically took the reins. But his father's still involved. He's part of the, school academy. I heard somebody just put it on TikTok that his dad's still teaching at the Solid Rock Church next door. There's a academy, and he's teaching kids. But there has been some suspicious fires that maybe investigators should look back at in 1980 and also 1999. So let's talk. And we're talking about this guy right here. We've already done an extensive deep dive into him. This is Dr. Reginald Wayne Miller. And this is the father to Pastor John Paul Miller. And this guy here, this is his father. And this guy, and we already talked about it, this guy has been federally indicted by the federal government around 214-ish, and ultimately pled guilty, was sentenced to like 3 years supervised release, got like 4 months time served, had to serve hundreds of hours of community service. He was bringing in people from overseas to work at his church and his home, and he wasn't paying them properly. And the people were subjected to very harsh conditions, no lack of hot water, and malnutrition and whatnot. And we talked about him. He also got arrested by the Myrtle Beach Police Department around 2005 for exposing himself to an undercover officer. And, there's a lot of allegations about him. But there's something I want to share with you in reference to this guy in his church and how it all got started. Because, it's interesting how, and then, he had some church that he started, or some Bible Tabernacle Baptist Church, and it also eventually expanded to land being bought that his dad bought, where the current site is of Solid Rock Church. There used to be a military base there, and he got it at a discount and kind of strong-armed himself, and they pretty much got the property sold to him. So it's worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. But there's some information I want to share, because I'm going to show you a newspaper article, ladies and gentlemen, and I also want to show you 2 instances of fires at churches that the dad ran. And this is an interesting. We're gonna share this right here first, and we're gonna start. And this talks about 2 instances of fires, suspicious fires, people say. Or was it just a terrible accident? You decide. You decide. The articles are hard to read unless you're on PC, but it appears that RWM, Reginald Wayne Miller, had not 1 but 2 churches burned down in the Florence area. The 1980 fire partially destroyed 39-year-old church, Tabernacle Baptist Church at 600 East Palmetto Street. Looking at Google Maps going back to 2008, the lot was vacant. Sometime between then and 2012, Hope Health, local doctor chain, had an office there. So it was a location here at 600 East Palmetto Street, 1980. And I'm going to show you an article. I'm going to show you a newspaper article on this. And then another church fire. This fire, 1999, destroyed the vacant Tabernacle Baptist Church and Glory Land Bible College at 206 Dunbarton Drive. Looking at Google Maps, there is a building on the property in 2008 that has what looks like crosses over the door. The building is gone. In the next image from 2012, the property slowly overgrows. In 2019, a chain link fence and a for sale sign are visible. So apparently people are saying these 2 churches, and that's what, 19 years apart, burnt down. What's the odds, folks, that Pastor John Paul Miller's dad was running 2 churches in the Florence, South Carolina area that end up being destroyed by fire? I wonder if money, now back in the day, back in 99, in the 80s, insurance fraud was very hard to detect, right? Nowadays, sophistication, people make claims, the adjusters and everybody can kind of catch wind if something is possible arson, but it was a little bit hard back in the day. And there's not much information about any of the fire, but there is an old article that's being circulated. And this is a fireman gets high view of fire as he pours water on the church. The 39-year-old church building was almost completely destroyed by blaze. And this happened in 1980. This article is dated April 26, 1980. And they highlight certain words here because it seems like this church, Wayne Miller, pastor of Tabernacle Baptist Church, said the building was no longer in use and the church was in the process of selling it. And it just talks about a church fire where 3 firemen were injured. Florence Fire Chief James McLaughlin said the fire were blown out of the 3rd floor of the building by an explosion and fell 30 feet. 2 were treated and released at a Florence hospital and the 3rd was not admitted. McLaughlin said the main church building was at the Imperial Baptist Church until 1974 appeared to be completely destroyed. The fire also damaged another church building that was separated by the main building by 15 feet. So what is going on here? Thick black smoke and flames rose from the red brick building during the height of the fire as firefighters from the Florence Department and volunteer units in the area fought the blaze. Are you kidding me? And nobody looked into this? Maybe they should go back and look at this. And to show you just what I'm talking about, check this out. We have a picture, folks, of Pastor John Paul Miller and his dad. This seems like right here is senior pastor Wayne Miller, Susan, right? And we all heard the divorce proceedings. We talked about the divorce. Well, no, actually, we haven't talked about the divorce proceedings in reference to these 2. She filed for divorce and she made accusations against him, by the way. Just like Pastor John Paul Miller right here when he was a kid. Look, John Paul Miller. And Patrick invite you to come to church as the family this Sunday, June 8th at Tabernacle Baptist Church at Glory Land. And it was located at I-95. Tabernacle Baptist Church at Glory Land. Now, this was in 1986. But it's just showing you that his dad has ties to that same name of that same church that burnt down in 1980. Now, people are saying in the chat, explosion, Fire? Explosion? What do you think? People think maybe firebombed? Arson? Or was it just a terrible accident? Again, we're not making accusations whatsoever on JLR and Investigates. And we're not saying that these fires are arson. But what I'm saying is, considering the track record of Pastor John Paul Miller and the amount of allegations, he has fraud charges, by the way, or similar type fraud charges back in the day. I also ran a girl over. And his dad has fraud type federal charges, not paying people properly and misrepresentations and stuff like that. Makes me wonder about these fires, folks. It makes me wonder. But somebody on TikTok, folks, actually made a video and went to that location. Now, again, I'm a sleuth. There's other people out there have already uncovered this. We're just putting the pieces together. That's what we're doing. We're just trying to paint a picture here about these individuals. There's other sleuths out there, and there's other people. It's not just me. I know some people said in the chat, you're amazing, JLR, you're fine, all this stuff. No, what I'm doing is putting the pieces together and seeing other people talk about it, and we're putting our own things together, and we're peeling the onion on this case. And we're trying to get an understanding of who these people are, who we're dealing with, because we are 100%, I'm saying this, we are 100% certain to hear more about Pastor John Paul Miller and the Solid Rock Church, 100% sure when civil litigation comes, and possibly criminal charges. And we're talking about Pastor John Paul Miller is most likely going to be charged with something. And I say that because there's 2 investigations right now, ladies and gentlemen. 2. And the news is all over. Unless the news is lying, I'm going off what the news says. And according to ABC News and all the mainstream media and everything like that, they're saying that there is FBI investigation on Pastor John Paul Miller. Financial crimes. And the Robeson County Sheriff's Office put out a statement to the news and said that they asked for the FBI to assist in the investigation. So what's going to happen there? I don't know. Will charges come if the federal government has you in their radar? They're indicting you. They indicted Ham Sandwich. I say that all the time, and they will. It's literally impossible to beat a federal grand jury. And with this particular case, I think it would require an investigated grand jury. Unless the prosecutor and the AUSAs, I guess they're out of Columbia, South Carolina, that the FBI is looking into these people. They could subpoena them. They could bring people in to testify. They could bring church members in to testify, and they get the subpoena and they're told not to talk about their testimony. So he might not even know. That's what I'm saying. If I was personally him, I would not trust anyone in the church right now, because there's probably most likely people within that church that are cooperating with the government, or the government flipped them or offered them a deal in return of, immunity or anything, or just, cooperating. When the feds say they're investigating, that's how they operate. And they work on a lot of informants and people that have firsthand knowledge. So we'll see what happens out of that. But here's what I wanted to show you, folks. I wanted to show you back at that old site. And I wanted to show you a TikToker. His name is Rad Rev Rod. And this guy went to that old church that burnt down. And he said something interesting. We're going to play this clip right here. Here we go. Ooh, why did I freeze? Why do I keep having problems on this? All right. We're going to redo. I have to get this type of thing fixed here. Hold on. Give me 1 second, folks. 30 seconds right here. We'll do it on this one. We'll show Rad Rev Rod on the computer screen. I definitely need to get that fixed. I've been having problems with that lately. Normally I don't have technical difficulties. It might be JP putting a curse on me or something. You know what I mean? To stop me from trying to get out the truth and stop us from trying to share what's really going on when it comes to this case, because there's a lot going on in this case. And here we go. Right. Where's this dude at? Where are you at, dude? Maybe he didn't make it to my system. Because I can't find him. Now he vanished and disappeared. That might be. It's not connecting right. That's why. He wasn't loaded into the computer properly. He wasn't loaded into the computer properly, was he? Was he not? Oh. Nope. That's why. Look, spinning. He's spinning. But that's what I'm talking about, folks. This guy here actually went to the location. Oop, I got it. Now check this out. Now there's a little music here. We're going to wait till the music goes away, and then we are going to share this because this is very, very interesting. And it's talking about the fire. It's talking about the fire. Here we go. We're going to go right here, right now. Where are you at? Where are you at?
This is Rad Rev Rob, and I am here in Marion, South Carolina. This right here is on Main Street. This compound that you see right here, this was the location of Cathedral Bible College before they moved back to Myrtle Beach. That is the ministry that was headed up, or is headed up, I think, if my information is correct, still by Solid Rock Church pastor guy's father. Y'all know who I'm talking about. This is it. This is where they were. And I thought, it'd be cool if we just come over here and just come, take some pictures, check out what it felt like. It's a pretty big compound. I don't know if they just had part of it or what, but it's abandoned now. It's overgrown. But then I had a thought. I had a fleeting thought, and I thought, you know what? I've been hearing from lots of witnesses and friends and former friends that they love state parks. And I love state parks too. Don't get me wrong. But I thought, if the headquarters of this certain family was here in Marion for, I don't know, possibly a decade. I'd have to look exactly. I think it was around 2014 to 2024. If I'm correct, you guys just let me, if I'm wrong, let me know. I thought, I wonder what state park is near here. Well, let's check it out. Well, look how convenient that is. Lumber River State Park. What do we got? 38 minutes? 38 minutes to Lumber River State Park in Robeson County. So, and listen, state parks are great places to go pray and connect with God. And I'm a pastor. I love that. Absolutely love that. But it's just interesting to me. Lumber River State Park is probably the closest state park to Marion and to where this was. So I'm sure it's a place that people here maybe frequent. Yeah, convenient. Beautiful place. All right, we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, so I was a little confused. I thought he was the one that was going to go to the burnt site. But apparently there's other sites because these churches that this pastor, Reginald Wayne Miller, he's affiliated with lots of spots in these churches. A couple of them burn in fire, and then there was another vacant lot, and he was in Marion, and I heard there was another one possibly in Conway. These places that go and then they get defunct. Plus also the academy that he had when he was bringing over those people from overseas and then forcing them to labor, that all kind of shut down too, and it kind of funneled back into Solid Rock Church, where basically Reginald Wayne Miller gave the reins to his son to run this church, kind of like as the father, as being the godfather of the situation, you would say, like a lot of like the spiritual advisor. Like if anyone with the church would have problems, they would be directed to go to Dr. Reginald Wayne Miller. They would be directed. Now he was on supervisor release at one point, and then he petitioned the courts to get off early from supervisor release, and then he actually begged the court to get off probation early so he could start up a ministry in Pakistan. And it appears the judge did let him off early. I'm not sure, though, because I didn't get a response and the case was sealed. But then he went over to Pakistan, and then he got involved with a scandal there in Pakistan where he literally had to flee the country because all the residents wanted to do him harm because, he was touching, minors. He was accused of touching minors there, and now he has some sort of warrant there. Like they're claiming there's a warrant, but at the same time, the people are telling him, do not come back. You better not come back to Pakistan. So we fled back here. Where's he at now? Where is he at now? Well, I want to show you something because according to this lady here, he is working at that the academy right next to the Solid Rock Church. Check this out right here. I'm going to show this right here. This woman is claiming that he was teaching just as last week. He was teaching at the, what's it called? The First Academy. Let's look. Let's listen to this. This is what this lady's claiming. This is where he's at now. This is exactly where he's at now. That's what she's claiming. This is what she's claiming.
I've had a parent from Myrtle Beach reach out to me tonight with concerns about the school that meets at JP's church, Faith First Academy. And they allowed Wayne, JP's dad, to teach Bible class last week. Wayne has criminal convictions. The school responded to this parent that Wayne is a great teacher. This parent has removed her child from the school, and I'm told others are leaving as well.
Okay. So that's the latest on him. Apparently, he's now teaching at Faith First Academy, which is right next door to the Solid Rock Church. A lot of you people are from that area, and, I'll just show you. It's right next to it. I'll show it to you. When I was there 2 weeks ago, I took a video of the church, and right next door is the academy. And supposedly the academy is where all the children go, and all the children get taught. But Dr. Reginald Wayne Miller is apparently teaching there. So this is Solid Rock Church, folks. And this is the academy right there. There you go. Faith First Academy, right there. So it's next to the building. So people are claiming that Dr. Reginald Wayne Miller is now teaching there. And now that this case has been brought out, people are leaving in droves. They're like, no way. Some of them didn't even know. I'm going to share with you some correspondence because someone from that church has reached out to me just in the last few hours. People from that church have been reaching out, or people that were, part of that church or went there just temporarily and then seen what in the world is really going on, and they just got out of Dodge. They left. They just said no. And this is the sixth person now who has come to me saying bad experiences about this place. So all I'm reading is correspondence with people that are reaching out to me telling me about this church. And I'm going to read this correspondence because she sent a PowerPoint of numerous red flags. She says, red flag number 1, red flag number 2, red flag number 3, red flag number 4, red flag number 5. Let's show you what someone told me today from the church. And this person says, hello. And she said I can share this, by the way. And she said, just keep her anonymous. And we keep everyone anonymous on JLR Investigates. If they want us to keep them anonymous, we will do that. Hello. I just wanted to thank you for encouraging former Solid Rock members to reach out to you. I enjoy your channel and wanted to pass along my own experience with PJP and the Solid Rock Church. Please know we're living with our own form of PTSD, being in shock as to who this person is and his past actions. We truly have no idea of his abusive history since we just became members last summer and would have never joined had we known. When he first started speaking of his past, I thought he was reformed like me. I reached out to the church and told them that I was struggling. And that's what people do, right? When people are struggling, they reach out to the church, right? That's what the church is for. The church is supposed to be all welcoming for people that, are struggling or have addiction or whatever. That's what churches do. Red flag number 1. Soon afterwards, JP announced in church, don't email me your problems. I have problems of my own. Proceeded to tell a story about a family who continued to grieve their daughter. How they admonished him when he walked into her room as a teenager. Said everyone on the street knew them simply as the couple who had lost a child. I could tell he was annoyed, yet never responded to my email and told us not to bother him with our problems. A pastor. Can you believe that? That was around September of October of last year. Now, that's interesting. Remember, October last year is when Mica filed for divorce. So let me just talk about red flag number 1. This person claims that the pastor is saying, don't email me your problems. I have my own problems. That's interesting, right? When you go to your church and you have issues, and a lot of people have, and they confess or they talk or they want help, is the pastor supposed to tell the people, the members of the church, I don't want to hear your problems. I have my own problems. Deal with it. Deal with your problems because I have my own. It's interesting. This is what this person is claiming. Let me know your thoughts on that. That's red flag number 1. Let's go for red flag number 2. What's going on at Solid Rock Church, according to a former member? Red flag number 2. Around the first mission trip to Africa, he announced in church his own mental health struggles. Until the video released of him on the front lawn, I have not heard any discussion of this. He didn't say why, but that he was, harm to himself, depressed, was seeing a therapist and now taking medication, but didn't want to be there. Made that comment often. So I don't understand about that, but that's what they said. Around the first mission trip to Africa, he announced in church his own mental health struggles. Let's go number 3. My husband and I tithed and gave to missions, but volunteered too. I have taught at the school this year. Not once have we seen him at church festivals, events, or women's widows ministry. Not once. So they're saying that during events with the church, while they gave money, they never seen the pastor at any church festivals, events, or women's windows ministries. Not once. Interesting. Red flag number 4. Around February on, he consistently stated he didn't want to preach, didn't want to be there. That's interesting. He didn't want to preach. He didn't want to be there. This is around February of this year. Now that's interesting. Remember around February what was going on? Remember in February about him and the police reports filed against him? Or the police reports that were being called? Interesting. Red flag number 5. Stated Mica was bipolar and schizophrenic. Said the congregation she was not taking her meds, not to help her, and if you see her in public, to not give her food or help. We were shocked and should have left the church at this point. Are you kidding me, folks? This former member claims that Pastor John Paul shared with his congregation the issues Michael was having and encouraging his congregation not to help her, not to give her any food, nothing. And you know what? That was corroborated by what I told you yesterday from another member who reached out. Remember, the member told me that just prior to her death, that they went with Mica and was helping her, and then got kicked out of the church because they couldn't be around Mica. The pastor was prohibited everyone and forbidden everyone to even correspond or even help her or even do anything. Because remember, she was a big part of that church. When she got married to Pastor John Paul in 2017, basically is like she was part of the church. She was singing up there, and Pastor John Paul was playing the piano, and she would do a lot of singing. And then, once she broke away from him, he didn't want to be embarrassed. He didn't want to be known as the guy at the church that had a wife that was getting, rid of him. And so, God forbid, nobody at the church could go anywhere around Mica. Forbid you. If you go near Mica, you're out of this church. We're going to ostracize you. We're going to kick you out. That seems like that's what's going on. Don't help her in any way. Sometimes the church, when you need help, that's when members of the church and everyone's supposed to help. And a lot of those church members wanted to help. But they were forbidden by the cult leader. Oh, Mr. Jim Jones, we can't. Nope. According to Jim Jones here, you couldn't help. And yes, sir. Yes, Messiah. Yes, sir. Or else you're no longer a member of this church. Sickening. All right. Red flag number 6. Red flag number 6, folks. People disappear. You may be aware of your younger man who was friends with Mica. He approached JP about Mica. JP insinuated the younger man was having an affair with her in church. Since we guessed who he was talking about, we didn't believe it as it isn't this young man's character. The younger man had preached on one Sunday and was teaching at the school. The younger man stated his authority came from God and not JP. JP fired him on the spot and told him to get out. His name was removed from the school's website as an instructor. Also, pastors Matt and Melissa were now kids after-school teachers, and they have been quietly removed as pastors from the website. So decipher all that. What does all that mean? Tell me what that all means. This person's coming with the heat. This person's coming with the goods. Former members, please share with JLR Investigates. You can remain anonymous. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your story. And then it says, in addition, PJB has bragged that he and Trisha are the only full-time staff. Teachers are paid a paltry $20K a year. There are many teachers' aides and all are paid nothing. But that the church, in his words, has plenty of money. Uh-oh, folks. If that's true, is Pastor John Paul Miller in violation of federal labor laws? Aren't you supposed to pay certain salaries for people, at least minimum wage? Teachers are paid a paltry $20K a year there. This person follows by saying, the last time we were in church was the day he announced Mica's passing. I could tell he was a little off, but nothing more. We were shocked and sickened after he played a duet with his best friend Mark, preached, then announced her death at the end. His emotion seemed scripted and forced. Asked everyone to leave quietly and not discuss it. By the way, someone has torn down the sign where the new property is supposed to be. I'm happy about that. We say no to vandalism on JLR Investigates, but that's the second person now that has told us. And I said that on my last live, that has been people saying that the sign by the highway, the other church, the property, has been removed. This person saying torn down. I also heard vandalized before, but I wasn't sure on the vandalized, but it's definitely not there anymore. What happened? Possibly somebody backed into it. Somebody maybe vandalized. But again, we're peaceful people. We don't support. I don't think that's funny personally. I don't support violence. I don't support any type of vandalism like that. We're not necessarily vigilante justice on JLR Investigates. So, you know, if you out there, please don't do anything illegal. Don't do anything illegal. I only met Mica once, but she was and is lovely. Watched her sing in the band often. Very beautiful and talented. Please stay on this. I wouldn't be surprised if Trisha is next. She's the only one who's probably truly knows the evil he's capable of. I met his dad briefly about a month ago. Had no idea he was a felon. Him, along with Pastor Randall, have only been in the church recently. There you go again. Somebody else don't know about the father. And the father seems like he's engaging more in the church. My sources have told me the plan was for Pastor John Paul Miller to move the congregation over to the vacant lot, build a church there, and then the church where Solid Rock is currently at, his father was going to take over. That's what I'm told the plan is. I could be wrong with that assessment. Again, if you know any firsthand knowledge, share with JLR Investigates. I want to know. But here's also I want to share with you, because I want to share with you something else. And while we're talking about suspicious fires, a neighbor in JLR Investigates talks to the neighbors of JP. They've been reaching out to me. Thank you. Thank you for providing me insight. I'm in the know. I'm in the mix. Neighbors, former church members, people close to Michael. Everybody's reaching out because everyone wants to share. And they want this talked about. And this is a platform to do it since we've been there from day one. But this is what I tweeted out not too long ago, folks. I said, neighbor tells me the fire department was at Pastor John Paul Miller's home 2 times right before Mica Miller died. Claims the pastor was burning something in his backyard. And here's the attachments that I attached. Yup, want be long fire department at his house twice few weeks ago. Burning something in backyard. Wonder what that was. Should have been fined. So the neighbor told me basically it should have been fined. I'm sorry, I had to blow that up because, I like doing my lives like this. Some people say, hey, do your lives like that. It's better. I like it doing like this. But, if it was like this, I would have been able to read it better. But I responded, before she died, her family said he stole a bunch of her evidence from her house while he had her locked up in the hospital. And the person responded to me, the neighbor, yes, right before she died. So what's going on with some fires in the backyard of Pastor Paul Miller? And what was he burning? And why wasn't he fined? And I can tell you what, sleuths out there, I know some journalists are watching. Let's do some Freedom of Information Act requests. I'm sure you can FOIA the fire department and find out what the call was about. Was there 2 calls at his home about fires? And what was he burning? So we'll look into that also, folks. But yeah, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff, you know. And as I get more, I will share with all of you. We will continue to take deep dives in this case. We will continue to bring justice for Mica. We'll continue to share. Again, if I said something that's not correct, set the record straight. We are here in good faith. We are here to get the truth and understanding, the whole truth and nothing but the truth about this case. Tips at JLR Investigates. I heard Pastor Paul Miller has a court date coming up in June about a traffic ticket he plans on fighting. Or is it July? But there's also another case coming up too, I believe, in reference to the proceedings with Mica. He has a court hearing coming up too. I think it's June 5th. June 5th. Who's going to be there? Who's going to be there at the courthouse? Will JLR Investigates be there? Well, you never know. I'm like the where's Waldo of true crime? You never know where I'm going to pop up. I might pop up. You know, I'm a sleuth. Might pop up. Maybe not. Maybe not. All right, thank you guys for watching. We are bringing justice for Mica. Keep Mica's name out there. And she is loved. She has a lot of supporters out there. And her family's seeking justice. And anything else that develops with this case, I'll share with you. I'll probably be live later on with new info, juicy gossip, spill the tea, or coffee, whatever you like to drink. We are JLR Investigates. We cover true crime 24/7, 365. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk later. You guys have a good day, blessed, be safe, love your loved ones, stay vigilant, and we'll talk soon. Justice for Mica. Stay tuned.